United States of America and to the
Recording in
republic
progress.
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Alrighty. Got it. Can everybody hear me? Yep, okay. All right. We'll turn that up. So let me start by asking for a motion to accept the regular meeting minutes from 11/28/2022. Jim and Rebecca, any questions, comments, or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. Public comment? No public comment for those in person. Those on the Zoom call, any comments? Okay, hearing none, moving right along. I'd like to ask Ed Charpeau now to provide his monthly water and wastewater report, please.
All right, I don't have it in front of me, but we fixed a leak. What we thought was a leak over on Timberline Drive for like the third time. It had a curb stop that was bad. So we replaced that. Seems to have fixed the issue. Hydrants for snow, things of that nature. I guess the big thing I want to point out tonight is the FEMA project will be going out to bid this week. I talked to Brendan this afternoon.
How long will that go out to bid, Ed? Because our concern was that, we didn't want it so close to the holiday. And now we're right. We were trying to get it out before Thanksgiving and now it's going out after Thanksgiving. So I just want to make sure that there's sufficient time for folks to get back to us.
I think Brendan said a couple weeks, but we can push it longer if we need to. I'll talk to him tomorrow if you want.
Yeah, well, I would think that we would give until at least the 15th of January. Don't you think, Mark? Yeah.
Agree.
And the board to give them sufficient time, to give folks sufficient time to give us a bid back.
Well, was there a time limit on it?
Usually there is. Usually there's like 2 weeks or so, but we can extend it.
Yeah, well, they're not going to start till spring anyway, so
Right.
doesn't make any difference.
Well, I'd rather have them do it in the winter. They're not going to be able to do Pump Station 2 in the spring. There's no way.
Like March.
Like March?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
As long as it's before the thaw. Along with that, disinfection a little bit. Once this goes out to bed, he'll start working on that. He's waiting for the samples back from the lab that I sent out for turbidity. And we also discussed the generators. We had the power outage today, which was a nice reminder that still needs to be taken care of. I think that was about it for that.
So
Give me 1 second.
Ed, regarding
Go ahead.
the generator, weren't we putting that onto our final application for the wastewater?
Yeah, we were going. That was the plan, but then they started asking questions of Brendan for more information, which made him believe that we had a good chance of getting it as a grant instead of using our funds to pay for it. So we're just waiting for that, and it should come out in January sometime to find out if we're going to get both generators replaced or not through FEMA.
Okay, and if they're not going to do that, do we still have an opportunity to put it with the current project?
Yes.
Before it okay.
Yeah, we left all that open. The only one we don't is the well building. At that point, if we don't get it, my recommendation is to spend the $20,000 and put a new transfer switch in. Because right now we're still manual on that. The other kind of big thing is for wastewater pump station 3. I don't remember, the last board meeting I had said we did the cleaning and we had one of the pumps pulled because it wasn't working.
Right.
Well, I called today the stator was burned up in the pump, so he's contacted the manufacturer to see how much it'll cost for a new stator and a rebuild. Well, they would rebuild it. But if it's not cost effective, then a new pump is going to be in order. But it may be a good time to start thinking about not having 6 different brand pumps throughout the village and going with one, so I can put a spare on the shelf and it can be used in multiple places.
How many different kinds do we have at present? 6? Still 6?
Probably 4. Sorry, I was being dramatic before. Probably around 4. We have Flight. We have some weird ones. Yeah, we have all kinds of pumps.
Okay. Well, so get rid of the weird ones and keep the ones that are working well.
I also just wanted to give an update on the water grant. We did reapply for that. Brendan said that we were denied, and from what he can see, there's more money available for water, but they're putting more money into individual projects and not spreading it out like they were in the past. So it's even harder for people to get money now.
Right.
They're building tanks and all kinds of stuff. So we're kind of on hold on that until we determine what we can afford and not, and go on from there. And if we can get a grant here in the future. I also did sorry, I'm kind of all over the place because I don't have the paper in front of me. We did leak detection with New York Rural Water. And there were no major issues in the village. There was one spot where we heard a leak, and it was on a hydrant on Elm Lake Road. That'll have to be addressed in the future, but it's not a huge concern right now.
Okay.
And if you guys have any questions, you have it in front of you. I'm not trying to recollect it, but.
The tractor needs to be sent back to H&M, looking at injectors.
Oh, yes. Yeah, so in most cases, when you have injectors that go bad in a tractor, the tractor or vehicle runs horribly. So we have 2 injectors that are overfueling, which cause the issues with the regen system and all of that. So they are waiting for the parts, and once they're in, they're going to replace them, and then we'll get it back.
Okay. And you said that there is an issue with pump station 5?
Yeah, it's working. One of the pumps, the pitless adapter on the bottom of the tank, is no longer sealing. We've lost 2 brand new O-rings in the process of trying to get it to work. So I don't want to lose any more. Somebody needs to get down in there and see what's going on with it and what needs to be fixed. And that won't be us. We'll have to hire that out.
Okay. And schooling for Lenny Page and J.R. Rust?
Yeah, Lenny has his course book. He's just going to take one course, get the credits he needs to renew in June or July, I believe.
And what courses?
He's doing secondary wastewater treatment, activated sludge, again through Sacramento, California.
Okay.
It's only a couple chapters. JR, the next available Morrisville is the end of next year. September, October. Adirondack, SUNY Adirondack has a course coming up. They just haven't announced it yet.
Okay.
So that might be an option. And if not, and he wants to do it sooner, then he's going to have to do a home course or home study to complete that.
Okay. Anything else? Because I think you've covered everything on your report.
Oh, yeah. The project. Aqualogic's supposed to be here this week to finish up all the SCADA and all of that stuff.
Okay.
Which they were supposed to be here a couple weeks ago, so Brendan told me they were going to be here this week.
Okay. Does Brendan think we have a chance of doing any specific water project for a grant? Or we're past that.
When I talked to him this morning, it really sounded like it's worse than like getting grants for some reason. There's a lot of big projects going on, much larger than ours, like new tanks and all kinds of stuff like that, and it's all going to those projects.
Yeah, the
Go ahead.
projects I saw were all big cities.
Yeah, new tanks, like multi-million-dollar projects, nothing even close to what we have, unfortunately. So.
Okay. All right. Any comments or questions for Ed? Ed, I am going to jump down to water bill forgiveness request from the Menendales. So, as
I thought they weren't doing it.
No, I know. So they are. So I just wanted to make sure, since it's on the agenda. This is a place out on Route 8. There was an issue. What has been done is that it's been the meter has been replaced, and we will watch for the amount of metered water that's going on. So Ed is working with the homeowners for that. I did discuss with them that we can have the option of a one-time forgiveness. So this is about $200 over their original bill. And after discussion with them, they've decided to withdraw the request at this time. Jim?
So we wouldn't forgive the 550, the 540, but just the $200 over it.
Correct. But that's only one time.
And it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. So they pulled that back. They're going to work with Ed to monitor it. And so they've decided to withdraw their request. So I just wanted that to be on the record.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Anything else for Ed? No. Okay. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Yeah. Happy holidays.
Good. All right. Bye. Okay, I had also asked Roger, I know it's not on the agenda, but since we will not be having a meeting in 2 weeks, I just asked him to give an update on his activities, and they're all pretty much the same as they have been, and there's really nothing new. We are looking to have the ice rink flooded when the temperature is down low enough. The rink is all set up, snow is all packed in there, just waiting for consistency. As an aside, with the power outage today, the question always is, well, listen, we have an electric block fence for the McComas Fire Tower, and it does have a battery backup, so everything goes off as usual, and that worked just fine. And the folks at DPW are checking that every week, and as far as possible, they're going to try and maintain that open gate so that people can go up and down. So, and I did go up during the last storm, after the last storm, and it doesn't get icy because everything goes through with the steel grates, which has been great. Okay.
Question.
Sir.
Regarding Roger, the drag, the ski trail.
Yes.
Apparently, there's a beaver that has made a huge dam.
Yes.
And the ski trail is underwater now.
Oh, my.
And the snowmobile trail is underwater.
Yes.
And so, do we contact DEC?
Yes, I have contacted
to have them
DEC.
remove the beavers?
They will not remove the beaver unless there is threat of flooding private property or damage to private property.
So the village doesn't constitute.
Correct. That does not constitute.
So that trail will probably be closed,
I hope not.
because that's a big deal for us.
Yeah. Well, we can visit it again.
That is, according to the people that know that area, it's going to be closed because it's unsalvageable.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we
Underwater.
please take pictures? If someone can take pictures and get me pictures, I will again go to DEC and request. It's the only thing I can do, because right now they're saying no.
Wow.
Yes. So if you know someone who can get me pictures of that, Jim,
There is a dam.
The dam is below the bridge.
before wastewater.
Yeah,
before a wastewater treatment plant. It's huge. So Mark or you or
I can go see.
somebody, yeah? Can you get back that
you
way?
can take a picture? I'm
On
not,
the phone.
No, but it's actually getting back there. So I don't know
You
if,
can't get there on the regular trail.
you should be able to get back there on the regular trail, I would think.
Yeah, you can get back there on the regular trail.
Yeah. So if you would be able to do that, then I'll ask DEC whether we can have a permit to remove it.
So it's on the cross-country ski trail, flat, somewhere back there.
Mark,
Jim,
what's that?
Jim?
how far in?
I proposed quarter mile down.
Well,
Not even. It's around the first curve if you look from the bridge, and there's an S in there, and they're right there.
You'll see the dam. Okay. Thank you.
phone is sufficient. I don't think so.
Yes, you don't need big cameras or anything. We just need,
Yeah, I don't snowmobile that area. Don't really snowmobile at all.
I don't mind cross-country
So the
ski.
issue would be that I think we should listen to what other people say.
I just need evidence. So me calling doesn't do a hill of beans. I need to show them what the problem is, what the issue is, so that we can put our arguments forward.
Is there a way to talk to our drag guys or anything like that, where we can talk about the impact to our?
Well, I can talk about the impact without that, but I just need the photographic evidence to see, because I submitted pictures of it before, and it wasn't enough to convince them. So I'm sure that it's much bigger, and the beavers have been busy. And I don't believe anyone, to my knowledge, has taken advantage of the beaver season to take care of it. But
Did that come and go?
well, it's on right now. How long does the beaver hunting?
I'm not sure, but it started November 1st. But yeah, the only trapper around was from Mayfield, and who knows if he even realizes there's a dam down there. But again, they won't let you remove it even for paddling, kayaking.
Right.
You just can't. They say it's not appropriate because that's what beavers do.
It's forever wild. Right. So let's see what we can.
Does it affect the lake? Is it affecting the lake at this?
I did get a call this week from one person on the lake, and then I called two more people to see the houses along Route 8, closest to the beach. They are having issues with very high water, and I'm sure that some of it is due to the beaver dam, some of it is due to the other beaver dam. But I think it's hard to prove that it's mostly the beaver dam, because there are other outlets, unless there are beavers on Cherry Creek. Are the beavers back on Cherry Creek? They are.
I think there are.
So I'm sure that those all play a part.
But the lake seems fun.
It's very high.
I know that Glen Maxwell has a pontoon, Hobie Cat,
Yeah,
opposite side of the lake, Route 8.
yep,
And when the beaver dam was opened up at the far end of the lake,
right,
by that bridge, the lake rose high enough
Right.
that his boat got away. Came all the way across, first went up to top window, then
Right.
came across.
And when was
banged
that?
against the rocks.
when was that?
This was maybe a month ago.
Oh, so they have
It was in
released,
November.
okay, so they have released the beaver dams up on the inlet to Sacandaga.
But there are pictures of his boat banging into our car.
No, but that's what those are the things that I need to know. So if they have removed the dam up at the inlet,
I'm not too sure.
that allows the it's happened within the last
No,
month.
it's definitely, there was water coming in from Sacandaga, top of the
Right,
lake.
then
And it raised the lake enough
Okay.
that there was no longer a beach. So the boat was no longer pulled up on the beach, and it just floated away. And then it floated over. There was a bad storm, 3-day storm. They called the marina. The marina couldn't go out, it was such a bad storm. The sheriff had already taken their boats out and winterized them.
Wow.
It was a big problem. Our son ended up going in, getting it off the rocks with them, and then they were able to pull a trailer over and get it out on our side of the lake.
Yeah, so we just need to make sure, but yeah, so, right, so many things come together. So if they're allowing the removal of the dam at the inlet, that's gonna increase the amount of water in the lake, and it's being blocked down below, which is being flooding up here, because I know the Craven's old property, the water was hitting the windows, so that's significantly above, what the, yeah, it's very high with the water levels and with the ice that was forming. And then other folks along that road or along Elliott have said that their water is very high. And so if you also have a dam in Cherry Creek that's further increasing, and it's all backing up. So perhaps that's a way that we can pose it. And I'll check with Randy, and if I can have some pictures, that would be great. Okay.
I think it'd be worth talking to the drag people, because there's some talk that if the lake is too high and it freezes, then there's pitching on it that causes heaves that makes lake use unsafe. And is that right? I don't know about snowmobiles, so that's all I can tell you.
So who in drag? Paul Allen or Rick Swift?
Probably Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but DEC won't care about that.
No, they won't.
It would cause property damage.
Right.
Right.
And the lake is higher than usual, but we did have some rainstorms.
Well, I think it's between the rains and the dams.
Yeah, it's not receding like it normally does, and but again, unless it gets onto my lawn, it's much higher. It's between me and Charlie Asher's house, and it's above the wall. So
It's above the wall, so it's up to your lawn already?
no, it's about a foot from coming onto my property.
Wow. Okay. Okay, so, all right, I'll draft a note. If I can have that data, I'll contact Randy, and if there's anything that drag can offer, but economics is not gonna save that, and see what we can do. Okay, clerk treasurer's report. Madam?
Our microservice hall will be closed Friday, December 23rd, and Monday, December 26th for the Christmas holiday, and Monday, January 2nd in observation of New Year's. Unless anything pressing comes up, we will be canceling the planning board meeting scheduled for December 27th. Petition packets for those planning to run for either trustee or mayor will be available the last week of December. First day, individuals may sign an independent nominating petition is January 3rd.
Okay.
The financial report is 6th and abstract number 13.
Okay, so just for disclosure, trustee Rumsey, trustee Doniker, and myself are all up for, our terms are up as of this year. Jim Rumsey, yes, oh, sorry, too many Rumseys. Okay, so any questions or comments on the clerk's report? Hearing none, I would like a motion to accept clerk treasurer's motion to approve abstract number, what, Tracy? 13. And we'll just Cindy and Mark. Any comments or questions on that abstract? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Motion carries. And then there's the financial report, correct?
Yep, number 6.
Financial report number 6. I'm sorry that I neglected to put that on the agenda. So all in favor of approving, may I have a motion to approve financial report number 6? Mark, second. Cindy, any comments or questions on the financial report? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Motion carries. Okay, the FEMA COVID update. As you know, December 31st is the last date that we can submit that. I just submitted the last piece of information and gave me an error reading. So I've been fighting with the portal, but I am going to prevail. So that will be sent in come heck or high water tomorrow. well, we do have the high water already, but come back tomorrow, it's gonna go in. Okay, the consolidation of the planning board and ZBA, I did get some legal advice back from Miller, Mannix, Schachner, and Hafner. And what they said is that although it is a little unusual to combine the ZBA and the planning board, is becoming more and more common. So with their clients, they've had quite a number of requests to combine the zoning and planning board after we had submitted our questions to them. So they did have a few questions about that, but they are pretty confident that they would be able to create a new law. What we would do is we would eliminate the planning board, and we would convey the roles and responsibilities to the ZBA, and then expand the group of people who would serve on the ZBA, and then have additional members there who would fill in as needed.
Would you say it abolishes the planning board?
It abolishes the planning board, which is not a law, but it's in our zoning, right? So we would have to go through and identify all those areas in the zoning where the planning board are mentioned and make sure that the ZBA could address that. And then expand the roles and responsibilities of the ZBA. So it would be amending our current law for that. So what I had originally provided them was more of in their words, a Band-Aid, and it wouldn't be the comprehensive revision that's needed to make it hold water, as it were. So I did let them know that we do have cost concerns, and asked them how we might be able to do that. And they thought that they would be able to draft a law, or at least review one that takes into consideration those points, and that the work would probably result in a few $1,000s in legal fees.
How bad legal fees?
A few thousand. Several. How many is several?
Three.
Three. Okay. So let's say $3,000 to $4,000 in legal fees. I think at this point, I think it's a reasonable thing to do. What I would like to suggest is that we take a step back, and the finance committee of Trustee Cindy Rumsey, the clerk treasurer, and myself, we find out to see where those funds could be available. Okay. All right. So that's that. And then there is a PERB notice of conference. Our response was sent in to the judge. That meeting is going to be held, I believe, on the 14th of December. Jay Gervin is our representative for that, and he's getting back to me as to whether I need to be present for that hearing or his representation is enough. So that's the point at which we have asked PERB to review the list of members that are purported to have signed on with the Teamsters Union before we would formally recognize it. So there's an option. So there were two options put to us. One is accept what the union put forth, or to go through PERB and have them make a determination that a majority is in favor of that. So we should know more first week of January, second week of January on that. Any questions?
Did you say that's the 22nd of December?
14th.
14th.
The hearing is the 14th. So there's a hearing before a judge. Okay. So the next up is, as you know, there's been a big discussion about the early closure of DEC campgrounds in Hamilton County. 11 out of 14 are being closed by Labor Day, which is not acceptable. And Tracy, if you would allow me to share my screen. Okay. Can I share? So, yes, okay. So, small one, okay. So, what I did is I sent letters to anybody and everybody I could think of, besides myself contacting DEC. And as I said the last time, DEC did not consult with local towns or counties or whatever when they put in their schedule. The reason for the schedule is for safety and for housing, or not housing, but workforce, that they didn't have enough, that they wanted to make sure they would be able to run the campgrounds safely with the proper number of people. But they were amenable to working with towns and villages to see if there's some alternative available. Part of that is housing, that these workers for the summer do not have adequate housing, even though DEC has offered them a camp space available, there's no formal housing. So we are in discussions with is it IDA, through the county about developing some workforce housing, and I've requested that they contact DEC because they would be interested as having that as part of an option. So one of those potential options. What you have on the screen right now is a very nice letter that our Assemblyman Smullen wrote for us on our behalf of Hamilton County. He is supporting this fully. Our senators are also, New York senators are also in support of that as well. The county and the town have put together a resolution. I need to share that. They've put together a resolution and asked us to do the same. And also, we have close to 3,000 signatures collected to keep Moffitt's and Louis Lake open. So this is
only two in our.
No, there are 11 in Hamilton County. In our immediate area, correct. But everything from Indian Lake down is closing. So this is a resolution that is loosely based off of what the county has done, but it's been tailored for our specific area, of course. So this is a resolution opposing New York State Department of Environmental Conservation's proposed early closing dates for Hamilton County campgrounds located in New York State Region 5. So that's us. So whereas our campgrounds and outdoor recreation centers are an indispensable part of the Adirondack region's experience, and whereas the release of DEC's 2023 campground schedule has listed closing dates for Region 5, including Moffett and Louis Lake, that will have a negative impact on the village of Speculator. And whereas the proposed closing date of September 4th will negatively impact the village's local tourism, event attendance, recreational, industry, and business economies. And whereas the proposed closure date will shorten our tourist season by 4 to 5 weeks, which, as you know, with the tourist-based economy is devastating. And this is right before our highly sought-after fall foliage season, for which the Adirondacks are known for. And the village board wholeheartedly disagrees with DEC's proposed schedule of operation for the closure of these campgrounds. Therefore, be it resolved, the village board of trustees is willing to meet and offer cooperation with DEC to work on alternative solutions that will keep Moffett Beach and Louis Lake, New York State campgrounds open as long as possible. Any comments, questions?
Is their big beef just housing?
Well, it's workforce. They can't get the workforce, and part of the major issues with workforce is they don't have a place to live. They're not people living locally who can do that, so you have to ship them in. and they didn't have
What about
lifeguards.
using the facilities that they have to house people?
But they have those with folks who are the rangers and things like that. They don't have sufficient amount of housing. So, and they also didn't have lifeguards. So one proposal, and they had offered top dollar for lifeguards, $20, $25 an hour, and they still couldn't get anyone. So in speaking with Matt O'Brien and looking at J1 visas for students to come, there is a good possibility that we can get lifeguards that way, not only for our own beach, but for Moffett as well. And he was very interested in hearing that. And they should be meeting within the next week or two internally. I don't know if that's within Region 5 or within the Adirondack regions. And then they were going to the state commissioner to see what could be done. So I think we're offering some interesting proposals to help meet the needs of our current campgrounds. And right now they're saying that there's about 65 sites on average for Louis as well as Moffitt's. And I've spoken with Department of Tourism and Roost asking if there's any way that they would bolster promoting our campgrounds up here as part of their programs. And so they do it to some. Christy Wilt has said that they will make an even more concerted effort to promote that opportunity, so folks would come.
That number sounds low at Moffitt's. Does that mean just for the fall they cut back?
Just for that month, the average number.
Of how many?
The DEC operations director, Bill Burton, said that the average number for that month of September is about 60 to 65 campsites for Moffitt's and another 60 to 65 for Louis.
Per day?
For the month. Yeah, per day for the month.
Yeah.
Right. So when you look at Louis Lake, that's almost half to 2/3 because it's a smaller campground, and it's about a third or so of Moffitt's. Right. All right. So what I would like is a motion to accept this resolution, and we'll send it to Region 5. Okay. Rebecca, second. Jim, any comments or changes?
Environmental is, you got to get rid of the second A up there.
I don't know why you don't.
And below on the second sentence.
It could be a new way of spelling, Mark. My typing is exuberance with the A's. Okay, so all in favor of passing this resolution to oppose the early closing dates, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. All right, we will send that off.
Great.
Terrific. Good, thank you.
I thought it was well written. Good job.
Thank you. Okay, the next up is the proposed adjustments to local law number 2 of 1980. So thank you to trustees Rumsey and Rumsey's. And what I did since the law that was written back in 1980 is incredibly difficult to read, I applied Mr. Cairns' typing lessons from my high school days and retyped the whole thing myself. So Cindy, do you want to go through this or?
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do we have to maintain this entire law, or can we shorten it?
No, we can shorten it. We can adjust it. So what I've done is I've kept it pretty much in its entirety, except for those sections that are new. So it's only a page and a half, so I think we can go through it pretty quickly. So what I did is the local law name has just been modified to include recreational vehicles instead of mobile homes on residential properties, because there are other properties, campgrounds or whatever, where it would be permissible.
I think it said that in there, but that's okay.
Yeah. Yep. So then with the intent has been expanded a little bit, and this is outside of what you guys had put in. So not only is it to permit the use and regulate control of tents, mobile homes, I guess that should be all RVs.
Yeah.
RVs and other temporary shelters, but it's also to protect from trash, refuse, and
Fine.
and that's based on a few other comparable types. So definitions, I removed mobile home and included it under recreational vehicle. So some of this is the same. So the vehicular type that can be towed, hauled, or driven and primarily designed for temporary accommodations, recreation, camping, the AA, and travel use.
Well, I have a question about.
Yeah. Yes.
Motorhome, mobile home.
Isn't that what it was called before?
Yes, but one
Okay.
of the reasons why we didn't put it in is because we have mobile homes that are
Permanent.
permanent,
Gotcha. Okay,
so I don't.
that makes sense. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So we should make sure that we don't have mobile homes, we have motor homes,
Yes.
right? Okay, so that's been deleted. Any such structure or vehicle shall be deemed to be a recreational vehicle, whether or not resting upon a temporary or permanent foundation. And then the other definitions are the same. Any comments or questions on that?
Was it ever
Nope.
enforced?
No. It's not.
No, not really. No, I take that back. There was one language and they removed it. Right.
Had too many on one side, I believe is the way it was, so it was becoming more of a.
Permanent, right.
Yeah.
And the thing that, what these modifications do in this law is it actually allows people to get a permit for an RV or a motorhome while they're building, which has been a big ask, right? So with permitting, it shall be unlawful to place the tent or recreational vehicle at any place in the village on any privately owned real property in the village, and to use the same as temporary residence without first obtaining a permit from the land use officer. Before any, the red, the yellow,
Yeah.
right? This is section 3. So before any such permit shall be issued, satisfactory proof must be submitted that arrangements have been made for sewage on the property, garbage and refuse disposal, and potable water supply on the property, and fire protection. So this was a question if people were going to stay on a piece of property for 2 weeks or so, are all these things required as part of that? I think part of it is we need to understand proper, but they would have campgrounds. So I think that does need to be in there. And a potable water supply, is that
Portable?
potable, drinkable?
Oh, drinkable, sorry.
Yep, potable is drinkable.
Sorry.
And I do believe fire protection, that you do need something for fire protection, whether those are fire extinguishers or something nearby. I didn't have any issue with leaving that.
Well,
Does any?
So then, the code enforcement or zoning? Code enforcement
Code enforcement, the land use officer, right?
and get the.
When they give the permit, yeah, they would know what kind of trailer it is. Be done.
We had not included tent in that, not.
So it was originally for
But I'm just saying, this is not gonna be appropriate for tents, right? Or
Well, you would still need to know what people's property are they dumping it somewhere, or are they using the house facility? Any one of those is, well, the dumping is not acceptable, but the house facility is acceptable. And then the permit will include the property owner, who's ultimately responsible, the tent or RV owner, the names and phone numbers and addresses of the persons residing in said RV or tent. That way things can be traced back. The property owner will be held liable for securing all permits, and only one permit to be issued per taxable parcel per applicable permit. So only one RV on a property at a time.
Okay, so did we limit the length of time? Yeah,
Right, so that goes into the next.
However,
Right.
I have a question for you. So,
Yep.
We have questions because we know like local people that
Yep.
have a larger piece of property that have more than one person's RV on them,
Okay.
and they are not set owners of that property.
Right.
So how do we want to handle that? They only get.
So that's the question. Do we want one at a time?
Well, it's kind of.
Because that wasn't I didn't see that in the
it
changes.
wasn't kind of.
Right. Well, I think you need to set a number, otherwise.
Probably what we were thinking about are people who are property owners that have their own RVs that maybe use that occasionally. They're not staying for 15 days. They're going out for a night or two or a weekend or something like that on their own property, or someone else who has an RV that is parked on their property as well. So the question is, if it's not a consecutive 15 days, do we need to have that addressed?
Yeah, I think so.
So then, in other words, then they can only have one RV per property, is what
Well,
you're
do we
saying?
need to make a distinction between an RV being parked on a property and one that's actually in use?
Well, storage is noted separately, so that's just parked, right? So you do have the, if you look at section 7, that's RV storage. An RV may only be stored on residential property. The vehicle is stored no closer to the property line than the minimum setback requirement of the village. So that's storage. So,
The people are having more than one recreational vehicle on their property.
so
Because they have a large piece of property and they, Elk Mountain, if you take that into consideration, like, I know there are sometimes at some points in time, I don't know if they're always using it, sometimes they're around the pond, I believe that.
right. So that's not a residential property.
Recording in
RVs can I
progress.
have on my property and have people stay over.
That's what I want to hear,
Right.
make sure that we we understood which way that was going, that Oak Mountain is not considered.
Correct.
That included in that.
And businesses such as Michael Fuhr's, which has that's dealt with differently, that's a business. So, and commercial will be different. So we're talking strictly residential homeowners.
And I don't have a problem.
So you have no problem with one?
And a tenant, I mean, I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
There should be allowed one tent and one RV.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes people.
Sometimes the teenagers are out in there.
Exactly, and it's gonna be hard to go around and police tents.
Yeah. So property owners,
It's weird.
Kids that are-
yeah. So property owners, well, this is not, your kids outside overnight. You're talking, bringing bringing a large tent in. So property owner or a tent for guests, or you want me to take out tents? Do we just delete tents?
Well, so, yeah, I mean, we didn't include tents in our,
Tent.
You don't like tents. Do you like tents? Rebecca?
what do you think about tents?
Mark, what do you think about tents? Permit
That is
tents.
part of the law and permitting.
Yeah. Any other others?
All right, so let's get rid of tents. So I'm going up and getting rid of tents. Okay, so we can't, but you have to promise me we're not gonna,
Top two.
yep.
Yeah, this needs to be changed.
So I just wanna make sure we're not gonna turn into San Francisco and tents lining our beachfront. In San Francisco it is. Okay, all right.
Should be our.
Yep, that's what I'm doing, okay.
Which is why we didn't put country in it. And
Okay, good. That's required, unlawful to place a recreational vehicle at any place on any property. Figure out where to
where are we?
put the trash. We are section 3.
Yeah, just above that, it says tent.
Yeah, man,
In the top part.
yep. Yeah, so I got rid of regulations for recreational vehicles. It's unlawful to place a recreational vehicle in the first sentence. And then the permit will include the name of the owner, the RV owner. I got rid of tent
And we
there.
also took out the may not be used again by the same guest for a period of 7 consecutive days. We
Oh,
thought
you
that
did?
started just becoming cumbersome with that. That you just get a permit for 15 days and that's it, you're done.
Okay, so question. Let's say I have multiple folks visiting my place throughout the summer. Are you, yeah, well, let's say I have different people. So I have people coming in June, July, and August. Well, this says for a maximum of 15 consecutive days.
That's for the permit for that recreational vehicle.
Okay, so that's per recreational vehicle. Okay, so,
There's only one allowed on your property at that time,
okay.
so you're not gonna have, they can't come back. They can't
Okay.
get a second.
So only one permit is to be issued per taxable parcel per applicable permit.
For 15 days.
No, well, that's a maximum of
Yeah,
15
no,
days.
yes.
So,
Are you saying within a year's time? No, we just said.
So that's your question down below, question mark town.
right.
If you wanna change it, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's what, so-
Yeah.
so only one permit is to be issued per taxable parcel per applicable permit per RV? No. That should be applicable RV permit. Okay. All right. So that doesn't say you can, okay. So property owner 15 consecutive days. Okay, the other one that adds to this is construction purposes. Property owners may obtain a permit for an RV for use for the duration of the construction period of the primary residential structure that will be subjected to fees set forth by the Village Speculator Board of Trustees per resolution, provided that officer, such RV must be connected to the municipal water and sewer or septic system if applicable and pay appropriate hookup fees, because I'm thinking of South Shore where we don't have. The RV will cease to be used as a residence upon receiving a certificate of occupancy. So my question is there a time limit?
No.
No, we can No.
So let's say I'm building my house by myself and it takes me 5 years.
It may.
Hope your RV survives.
I would say that poor person.
But what if, so there are some people, to avoid paying taxes, that never get a C of O.
But they have to pay taxes on the.
They pay taxes on the property, they don't pay taxes on the building.
Taxes go up when you have a building.
When you have C of O,
Oh,
then you get assigned your taxes. So there are some people who have extended their permit year after year after year after year, and there are no taxes. So I would like to-
Renewable 6-month period.
Shorty,
Saying at the last meeting, 180 days,
he was saying 6 months, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
then if
And then
there's
renewable.
something that interferes with completion, they can apply for an extension.
Yeah. We can put that back in.
So RV,
That makes sense.
permits would be for a period of 180 days. Renewable
Yeah.
after consultation. So how is that said? So RV permits, so under construction purposes, it's a new line. So property owner has an approved permit, such RV must be connected. And then number 3, RV permits would be for a period of 180 days, renewable up to 3 times, or renewable after consultation with the land use officer.
Yeah, just put it that way, so we just gonna leave it that way, so we know.
Upon approval.
Oh,
Yeah,
renewable,
Yeah,
okay.
you could just say that. Because,
Upon
I mean, say
approval.
they're not building again, say for 6 months because of, I mean, maybe they're not gonna live in there.
Right, so renewable upon approval from the land use officer and board of trustees. And
Okay, give me.
I don't think it's gonna be,
For instance, when we bought the land, okay, I bought,
well, it depends, well, I'm sorry, just to say, why can't Rick do that? Sometimes people fight back. So Rick would say, no, you've done it too many times, that's it. They have to appeal somewhere.
Yeah.
So that would give you an opportunity to appeal to the village board.
All right. that's
Okay.
fine.
Yes,
so if you have a piece of property, the taxing code right now is that when we had that Tentel moved over from Camp of the Woods, they taxed us more on the value of the land,
correct, because you have a building. You're taxed on the building.
but it wasn't occupied or occupiable or anything like that. It was land with improvement.
It was a completed building. If you had a permit to build a Tentel on your property, you would not get assessed for the value of that Tentel until it was completed. You delivered a complete structure,
Okay.
right? So if I'm gonna build an extension on my house, I'm not taxed on that until I get a C of O.
Gotcha.
That
All
makes
right.
sense.
And people who have land, water available for hookup, but they're not even hooked up, they don't plan on being
Correct.
hooked up. They still have to pay extra taxes because it's there and available.
Correct.
Part of that piece, right?
And
Correct.
that's what-
Even if you don't-
That's what's included in the.
Right. So there are other municipalities, and maybe when we get much bigger, maybe there are certain municipalities that will assess taxes based on the percent completed. So if this year I have 50% completed, then I would get 50% taxed on the value of that.
Interesting. So that's a separate resolution.
That's totally separate, but I'm just telling you what other things are out there. But also knowing that people don't finish some people, not all,
I know.
but some people don't finish because they don't get their taxes assessed. All right, so then the RV will cease to be used as a residence upon receiving a certificate. So location, no RV.
Okay, that eight,
No RV?
Yeah.
Is
I
that
think
eight going crazy again?
yeah, I think that's 75 feet out.
Oh, so this was on there. So no RV shall be placed less than 75 feet from the center line of any public thoroughfare. So if you're on a small road,
Yeah.
Jim, 75 feet from, no, you can impede traffic, Jim. Jimbo, you can impede traffic.
If you're 15 feet, if you're inside the building line,
If you're inside the building line,
the building line is 25 feet from the front, 25 feet from the back, and 15 from each side. So
what
why
this said,
75 feet?
so this says, so generally that public thoroughfare is usually in the front of your house. So do you want RVs in the front of people's homes? And you have easement from the road. You have an easement for the road, not just the 15 feet, but you have easements that go through the front of the road with sewer and water and things like that. Do you want an RV blocking that? At that easement?
You couldn't from the center line, then you got 25 feet beyond that, now you got 58 feet from the middle of the road, so you're almost close to your 75.
Yeah.
So
So it's the same.
75 isn't far out.
So 75 isn't that far when you consider all those things.
And on that wall, when you talk about parking RVs on property, you didn't mention about the purposes of being occupied. I think if you're gonna write the law, you know, if nobody's putting one there, then you're gonna occupy it for 14 days or 15 days. You know, you have to make the.
No, we do have that. That is parked there because it's going to be occupied, and all the people who are staying in it get written up in the permit. So it's not for rental purposes. Maybe we should put that in there, that it's not for rental purposes, short-term accommodation.
It's being occupied, I'm saying that somebody just, you drive your motor home in your driveway, and you shut it off and leave it there for a month.
We do have storage. We do have storage cover. Yeah.
So you're just saying if it's lived in there, it's not necessarily that's stored 75.
Okay, well, how about the?
Yeah, so when you're planting it, when you're planting it, you know, for someone to stay in it, 75 feet off. But with storage, you're having it, so such vehicle is stored no closer to the property line than the minimum setback requirement, and there's an existing dwelling on the lot.
Okay, so that means Marion Avenue and Timberline Avenue can't have someone park an RV in their driveway because
So not 75 feet.
there's no 75 feet.
From the center of the road, from the center line of the road.
75 feet to some of those trailers, they're not even.
So the road is 40 feet. The road is 40 feet, so that's 20 feet right now. That's 20, and usually the setback is another 30. So that'd be 50 feet from the center line. So they have to be 30 feet off the road to get to their house.
I think 75 feet is really far.
Okay, so are you suggesting 50, 60?
No, I wasn't suggesting.
We suggested.
No, well, you need,
We wanted to suggest.
but you need something for easements. You need to make sure that the recreational vehicle is not set
Well.
on an easement or a right of way.
It's mobile.
Correct.
And so if, you know.
Okay, so let's take this. Let's say on Elm Lake Road, if it were feasible, every single person is parked right on the edge of the road.
But what's the setback for a home?
25 feet, no, 25 feet from the front, 15 feet from the sides.
Is
I know.
25 back, it's 25 feet setback?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we were saying within the setbacks of the property.
So then that's 45. So recreational vehicles, no recreational vehicle shall be placed less than the setback property setback,
Minimum setback of the road.
then,
I thought that's what we wrote.
no, it wasn't in there.
That's what the storage was, it's not when we didn't write anything about when they were just there.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so that's fine, I just would like it to kind of read the same way, I think. Yeah,
And
exactly.
I'm thinking, everybody on Marion Avenue, I mean, you can't pull an RV into a driveway and be 75 feet from the sidewalk.
Well, not everybody can have an RV in the driveway. It's just not feasible. I mean, I don't think that you would be able to do it in, a wolf complex. Would you be able to have every single one of those people have an RV in there? No, I don't think they have the appropriate space for it. Some properties are just not suitable. This doesn't say everybody gets a right to have it.
Right,
This says people get a right to have it if they have the space and the hookups
right,
to do it.
yeah,
Okay, so that's been modified. Boy, I sound very defensive. I'm not being defensive. I'm just
well, you
throwing it.
are, but that's.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I'm just trying to look out for people. So no RV shall be placed, shush. No RV shall be placed less than the minimum setback allowed for the property, nor within 15 feet of a lot line.
Right.
Okay. Shall not be parked in the front yard of a parcel upon which there is a
I
dwelling.
don't see how you cannot do that. I mean, how are you not gonna have it?
Okay, because that was in there.
Yeah,
That's what you guys had suggested.
Oh, you dropped that. We
No.
canned that
You
quick.
did drop that?
No, we canned that
Okay.
quick because we
All
said
right.
less is best.
Yeah,
And you can't have Marion Avenue, Timberline Drive, and
well.
Okay.
All
All right, so we're just- Okay, so we're thinking of a lot of different things. So they would still have to be set back, the minimum setback, so they're not in the front yard.
Well,
So it's the same thing, right? So if they're set back.
Yeah.
If every house has to be set back a minimum
I don't understand what the front yard means, because like.
between the road and your house.
Yeah, but I have a huge front yard, I could have it in my front yard,
That's true.
so that's what I'm saying, I don't like the
Okay.
front yard, you can't put that there.
yeah, and you can't,
Okay,
on Marion Avenue, you can't pull around behind some of those trailers or something,
Yeah, I don't think you can have that, say that.
right?
okay.
Yeah.
No, I understand that.
Yeah, just, well, no, just.
So I took out the center line.
Yeah.
I took out the center line. So no RV shall be placed less than the minimum setback allowed for the property. So if your house is set back 100 feet, you can have it 25 feet setback, okay. Placement of parked recreational vehicles shall be in accordance with setbacks required for principal buildings in the respective zoning district of the property. Right, so that's
Yeah.
basically the same thing.
It is, that's a repeat.
Yeah.
Placement of park recreation shall be in accordance with setbacks required for principal building. Okay, so I can take out the first one.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have weeds or they?
Okay.
That's if they're occupied.
Yeah.
This is all for occupied, right? So no permanent structure addition such as porch shall be added to any RV, and I'll take out tent. So all waste from showers, toilets, laundries, faucets, lavatories shall be flushed into the municipal sewer. Properly constructed septic tank and tile drain field, if applicable, or other container or device of suitable size and materials approved by the New York State Department of Health for mobile homes or recreational vehicles to accommodate 5 persons. So this law also ties into a New York State village law where we are required to make sure that waste, refuse, fire, water availability, all those things are taken care of. So go ahead.
So, but this is, I just have a question about this.
Yes.
We're talking about with section 5, are we, so someone who's there for 2 weeks.
Yep.
Are they gonna go in, they're not going into the existing sewer?
This not only goes for the permits,
Construction.
right, construction, but it also goes for, but that's why it says or other container or device.
Okay, alright, I just
Right.
want to make sure.
So
we're
it
not
goes
saying that
into
if
the-
someone's there for 15 days, they're going in.
Right, so these are ors,
Okay.
these are ors,
Right.
so it goes into the sewer or a constructed septic
Okay.
tank or other container or device that's suitable,
Right.
okay. I hate
I
law.
just don't want some people just thinking, oh, here, I can hook in there.
You know,
Well, there are some people who may have that option.
Unless the lawyer's gonna charge
If
us.
they may, well, they may, because they would have a trap or something, they would have to pay for that water and sewer anyway, and you have a permit for, I don't know.
Mark has lost internet, so let me call him.
Oh, gosh, you might have to go.
Okay, so we're calling you back.
Yeah, I lost my internet. I'm
Yep.
trying to reestablish.
You're on your way in, right?
I'm back on. I don't know what the heck happened.
Okay,
All right.
so we were just talking about section 5. All the wastewater goes into sewer or septic or a container. A storage container, proper storage. So it can be your RV tank that would then get emptied appropriately in a. Do we? So Ed said that last year, once or twice, he has seen people, or he has found the remnants of people opening up their RVs and slowly driving along the road to dump stuff. Yeah, it's disgusting. So I don't know, do we need to say that, if you use a container or a device or a suitable device, you have to dump it in an appropriate place?
Yeah, that's what you have to.
I mean, some people just,
This is New York State law covers that. If you get caught dumping on the
Yeah.
road like that, you're gonna go to jail.
and then run and take out mobile homes on it.
Suitable, for recreation, okay. Yep, for recreational vehicles to accommodate, and then need to dump in an appropriate facility. Need
Dump an appropriate dumping station.
appropriate, okay, dumping station. Okay,
There's a voter with a big tractor and trailer going through that. With no construction.
yeah,
RV
Yeah, right.
we don't want that.
that you can close
Okay.
in the dark.
Oh, no. Section 6, each RV shall have adequate equipment to prevent littering on licensed premises with rubbish and the like, such containers, suitable construction with tight fitting covers, which is true, you don't want them to throw their trash, we want them to be quasi-bear-proof.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Can we just back up? What is to accommodate 5 persons? Where's the number?
That was the original, that was in our original law,
I'd say drop it.
Yeah, I think so too.
okay?
I mean, because some RVs are, I mean. if you-
Bigger than others.
Yeah, they still have to take care of everything.
I need Tracy to let me in again.
Oh,
Okay.
Hello.
Got it.
Okay.
okay, so all.
Recording in progress.
So all,
I'm back.
great, all right. So all collection containers or devices need to be emptied in an appropriate dumping station. Does that sound
Yeah.
reasonable?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's all
Where
over.
they choose to do that.
That's theirs. Dumping station, should I say such as a New York State campground?
No.
No, okay.
Might take it ahead then.
That's true, oh, more better. So each RV shall have adequate equipment for littering and then storage. An RV may only be stored on a residential property provided that there's an existing dwelling unit on the lot. So in other words, you're not gonna have empty trailers just all lined up on property. Such vehicle is stored no closer to the property line than the minimum setback required of the village. Good? And then violation of local law, again with the double A, that all stays the same. That's something I wanted to mention. So any person who commits the violation shall be deemed to have committed an offense. Each day such violation shall continue or be permitted to exist shall constitute a separate violation. So this, for every violation of any provision of local law, the person violating the same shall be subject to a fine of not more than $50. So that was set at $50 40 years ago. So,
Well, we know how our fees work for us.
yeah, not well. So we could say $1,000, no. Do you want to say?
No, it's $50 a day.
I
Don't
agree.
cheaper than a hotel.
Yeah, but Mark, what I'm saying is $50 a day was there 42 years ago.
$100?
$100 a day? Are you-
Can't go to court to get them.
So are you guys okay for $100 a day? Okay. No more of not more than $100 a day. And that would be comparable to, getting a room. Well, no, more than that. No, maybe a couple hundred, right. So conflict of law,
It's saying a fine of not more than
Yeah.
50, so we could say 200, but it's just not going to be 40.
True.
You can decide along the way what it is, and then just.
yeah, if it's really egregious, you can assess a fine. Why not?
I believe if it goes to court, the judge is going to set
Yep.
the amount of fine. If you
Yeah,
put
we
zero
wish.
to $100, he can say $1 a day.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying the court they can take it to court and argue about it.
Yeah, they can do all sorts of things. All right, so we'll say up to $200 a day.
Just
Say-
just add $200 per day at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Then $200.
Per
day.
That's a lot.
Pay that thing.
Yeah, all right, so the person violating the same shall be subject to a fine of not more than $200 per day per violation. So if they have, if they're found dumping and they're, being screwy and they're, okay. All right, so the next step is to send this off to the lawyers, have them have it back to us by the 9th. We will vote to put this in a public hearing. So the notice is for 10 days, and by the end of January, we'd be able to sign off on this. Okay, thank you. That's a lot of work done.
You've gone through and done all the work.
Yes, and I will just double check. Okay. Okay.
One of the reasons why Jeff was included in the original law.
Well, Shorty, that's a comment for another time. So we can discuss that either during public comment or at the end. Yes, then we'll discuss. Okay. So so the last new business is Adirondack Cross Mobile Race. So Mr. Doniker, would you like to?
Sure. Justin
Talk about
Grant from Adirondack Cross Country wants to hold a snowmobile race here, January 28th. I brought that to the board when the mayor was away, and no one had a problem. They're also doing Lake Luzerne, Chopper Lake, and Caroga Lake. And we think it's a great idea that they come in. And again, this is all weather dependent. Make sure we have plenty of ice and snow. Bring a lot of visitors to the motels, hotels, and all the restaurants. So Justin will come in on a Tuesday, set everything up. It'll be basically in front of my house around Tapawingo, and we'll stay clear of the existing snowmobile trail that goes from one end of the lake to the other for snowmobilers. They will get a permit.
So it'll be on the south side of the lake.
Yes. Get a permit for the parking lot at the pavilion, and they'll use that for hopefully racers only. And we'll actually plow the
The
field.
ball field.
Yeah, the ball field.
We would plow the ball field for extra
Okay.
racing parking. Right, not to close down. No, we would be. That would be a death wish.
Yeah, that's for both racers and the public coming in.
Okay.
Right, so we would allow extra parking.
Okay.
So Mark and I met with Justin, and I think one thing that's important is we used to have snowmobile races in Speculator before my time. A lot of people are very happy to see that again. I think what Justin had said is that in prior years, this race, the Adirondack Cross Country Snowmobile race, just got bigger and bigger and more extreme. So it used to be very family focused, family friendly. They had children's races, all that business. And then it got so extreme and dangerous, that they didn't want to do it anymore. So a lot of families didn't do it. So he wants to keep it within the Adirondack Park, wants to focus on kids, and they're still trying to determine whether part of the ball field might be applicable for children's races as well. So to involve them and then have an awards ceremony afterwards at a local establishment.
I would doubt, quite frankly, that the ball field is big enough to accommodate travelers.
They're figuring that out, Jim.
Okay.
Years ago, they used to plow the field because there were so many small snowmobilers up here. Then it died off, and it didn't plow it. But it's up to them. Do they want to plow it or keep it for the kids to race on?
Right, so they're going to make that decision. Right, so I don't think you can, plow every last bit of it. But
In my understanding, Justin has people who will do the plowing, just as.
No, we would do the plowing.
We're gonna keep it,
We would plow.
so we'll kind of keep that part plowed down to the 28th, rather than try and go in and move a whole bunch of stuff.
I think that we would wait until we had a good amount of snow before we started plowing because we don't want to damage the field.
I understand that, but I don't think we want to wait in case we get 4 to 50 feet.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I think good judgment. I think good judgment.
Wow, 27th January.
No. I think that's something that we need to discuss with Roger. To make sure how that gets plowed. Because then the question is, okay, if we do it, if we're able to plow at least a portion of the ball field, well then why aren't we expanding parking anyway? Because parking is so difficult. I mean, if that's the deal, is there something that we need to consider to have it more open to the public for weather permitting weekends?
And we just have to keep the fire station in mind too, right?
Well,
It's all
absolutely.
out behind, but you wanna make sure
Yeah, there's got to be
it's
proper access. There has to be fire lanes available, no parking areas. Yeah.
Will anybody say anything about that being a landing site for last time?
Well, it's not plowed any other time, so.
Yeah, and they usually opt to go down to Wells.
I don't think they land here anymore. They land in Wells.
Okay.
There is an option for them to land, but they
Rarely do.
very rarely,
Very good.
because usually they want us en route, ahead of time. So with that said, they will have all the appropriate insurance to hold the village harmless. I've spoken with SVAC. There are EMTs that would not be with the ambulance, but would be with one of our rescue vehicles that would be on site during the races to provide that volunteer service for them. And I was going to speak to the fire department in case there were some volunteers who would like to be on standby. God forbid something would happen in that regard and we needed help.
And I'll keep in touch with them until January 28th, and I'll make sure you know what's going on.
Yep.
And has the fellow who does the hot dogs in the summer, he's a camp store, has he put in any kind of request for having hot dogs available for snowmobilers or something like this? Like,
Not yet.
I'm aware of this. You should tell him.
Yeah, so Chamber of Commerce is being contacted.
He's usually at the mountain. Oh, is he?
No, for hot dogs. Well, maybe for this day he might. So we can contact Casey.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's what I read. Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna let me know. We told him we want Casey as a vendor, and he has some other vendors that may come in. So we'll make sure that the village and the town are
Should be good.
working with us.
Right, and then all those vendors would have to apply for vending.
That's correct.
Right, because they would want food available.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think
Okay.
I mean, like, could the fire department hold their picnic type thing and raise money that way?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can even do a bake sale.
Yeah.
Sorry. Well, maybe not you, maybe Carol.
Yeah.
Okay, any other new business? As we get a little punchy. Okay, so what I did want to share with you for board roundtable is I did participate in the NICOM legislative agenda, and there are a number of things that do apply for us that I hope will get pushed through. One is to increase state aid to cities and villages, and what this means, I think this is the one. And the next one, provide dedicated funding for local water and sewer infrastructure. So what we're pushing for through NICOM is to do a CHIPS type option to provide funds, depending on your size, the number of people, et cetera, that you can do upgrades and maintenance to your water and wastewater system so that those monies would be available instead of having to go through grants, pay for having them done and being rejected. And this is, this would certainly help small communities like ourselves. Increase highway funding, remove the tax cap disincentive for economic growth. So if we have this huge infrastructure that we're doing or some large project that will require an increase in our taxes that would go above the tax cap, we wouldn't get dinged for that. So for bigger cities and villages or bigger cities, that's even more important, but it all depends on what we do here. And then there are employee relations and safety with regards to the civil service law, public safety considerations and bail determinations. Not a huge things for us here, but certainly in our other larger cities. Support funding for New York State EMS service providers. So this would not include SVAC because it's a 100% volunteer, but for those village-owned EMS services that they would be able to get some support for that. And then vacant buildings, financial incentives to revitalize projects, limit the application and cost of the prevailing wage mandate, that it would be more regionally appropriate for wages. And then obviously a big push for energy, environment, and technology with sustainable and alternate energy resources. We've changed just about anything we can to LEDs. There's one or two more projects that are a possibility for us to do that we would get monies to do yet another energy efficient project. So I'm in discussion with ANCA what we can do for that. Our big holdup right now are getting LEDs for our decorative lights. So that counts as a project that we get points for. So we'll see about that. And we are seeing the pretty lamp stands.
Oh, yeah, okay. So we can't cut them now?
I've asked Roger for them. The first set blew out.
That's right.
Yeah, so we might actually have to change the entire housing,
Okay.
which can be costly, and it may not be
If the state
cost
put them
effective.
in,
Huh?
the state put those in, correct?
Yes, they did. Yes, thank you, New York State.
Yeah.
And then invest in electronic waste recycling. So that would impact more, the county. But that would be very good because right now they're not doing that. And then, as always, ensure broadband access and accountability. So that's really moving forward. So we hope to have those all up and going and petitioning and finding appropriate assemblymen and senators to support those efforts with the new system. Okay. Anything else on the board roundtable? Yes.
I was able to go to a NICOM webinar on short-term rental.
Oh,
that's
terrific.
great.
Yep.
And basically they're covering all the things that the committee is looking at.
Terrific.
One good thing was weight is the lawyer.
He's
and
terrific.
He's himself very available.
He's great.
And so the lawyer for our committee hasn't made a meeting yet, but at least we know we have somebody we can contact
Yeah.
that's really on top of this.
Right. The only thing is that,
I know the cities that are
yeah, the
covered.
cities and villages are different than the town laws. So, you know, as a result of all of this, it'll still have to come back to us to determine what those regulations look like. And he would be incredibly helpful to give us, you know, some guidance and questions.
I'm representing the
Yes,
village. All of
exactly.
that. That's where it's come
Perfect.
back to what I need to know.
Perfect. And just, do they have an end date for the recommendations? Okay, so I think that's really important because we could go, that committee could go ad infinitum, and I don't think that necessarily serves the purpose. Okay, but thank you for that. That's great. Anybody else? No. So next month, I'm going to ask the code enforcement officer if he would give an update on, you know, what's been going on as far as the number of permits we've had, any issues that he's come across, you know, an annual review, and perhaps ask him if he can do that semi-annually instead of waiting for once a year. Okay. Anything else? Nothing? Mark?
I'd like to adjourn this meeting.
All right. Meeting is adjourned at 8:32.
Thank you.
Thank you.